Greetings everyone, my name is Raziel, and in this video I want to do something unheard of. I want to praise Everguild. To get to the reason for this, we need to go back in time a bit. The older ones amongst you may remember a little series I did a few years ago called Failed Things in HHL, where I sort of went ahead and tried to highlight flaws in or with certain factions. Now I won't sugarcoat it, the videos themselves were kind of ass, especially by my modern standards, but the topics did have merit. One particular video that I did was about a certain group of cards from the Knight houses of old, the structures. The video concluded with me highlighting that essentially all these structures not just were too slow and too expensive, but also oftentimes required additional energy expenses, as most of them relied on active abilities to do anything, since, structures cannot attack. Well, recently, Everguild reworked, or rather re-released, the Knight houses as part of the Crusade expansion. In doing so, they also released 3 new structures for the faction. As it turns out though, these structures are perfectly viable. In fact, at least one of them is actually very good and may even catch a nerf in the near future. So in this video, I want to go over what changed for the Knight House structures of today when compared to the old structures. First of all, the new structures all have one thing in common, with one exception. Almost all of them no longer have to rely on an active ability to do something. The new structures instead rely on passive abilities and traits like high amounts of reactor to contribute to the Knight player's game plan. This already eliminates 2 big issues the old structures had, as passive abilities can be harnessed immediately after playing the structure and also don't require you to pay additional energy. Now I know what you're thinking, there was an exception. And indeed, the new Refinery Hub does not have a passive ability, but instead it has an active ability. However, not only is the cost of this ability technically 0 energy, but the Refinery Hub also has Vantage, meaning it can use said ability the turn you play it. When using the ability, the hub will convert all your remaining energy into plasma and then heal your warlord for a small amount. It is worth noting that even when using this ability without energy, it will still trigger the healing. Therefore, the Refinery Hub effectively heals your warlord every turn for free, while also being able to convert any leftover energy into bonus plasma for your weapons and amplify effects. This card is generally seen as very good and may even get a nerf in the future. Second, all of the new structures are cheap as hell. In fact, none of the new structures exceed 4 energy in cost. This means that using them won't be as big of an investment as previously, and combined with the new focus on passive abilities and traits, the overall expenses to get value out of the cards is going to be a lot lower. Lastly, and this is definitely debatable, they actually did not release any new structure support in the expansion, just the 3 new structures. And honestly, that is probably a good thing, as in the past, structure support hasn't really been great. They obviously still retain the Artisan Priest to draw into them, but a card like Unshakable Warden wasn't really worth playing anyways, so I guess we can very much live without a new version of that card. In short, the new Knight Houses structures are not just easier to get value out of, you also get said value a lot quicker, a lot cheaper, and without relying on your opponent not removing them from your board. Overall, Everguild actually managed to turn this former failed archetype of the faction into a genuine asset that many a Knight deck is currently utilizing to great effect. Now if only we could say the same about the Salamander's mission.